And then let's get started. Let's get started lying on our backs. And once you do make your way onto your back, either take soles of the feet together, knees wide, or feet out really wide and knees together. So whichever direction kind of serves you better right now. And then you can be really passive with your arms down by your side. Sometimes I like stretching my arms up overhead just to give myself that little bit of extension in the upper spine that just always feels good for me. So again, find a shape that works well for you. Let your eyes close off. And we just start with a slow and deep breath in. A slow and deep breath out. Just like that a couple times, in through your nose and out through your nose. Not a ton of control, just stretching out your breath a little bit. So you are a little bit more engaged with it. And all in time, you'll start to feel your Ujjayi breath start to be created. You'll find that light texture in the back of your throat. If you did end up taking your knees out really wide, start to bring your knees up towards the sky and just plant your feet flat on the ground. We'll separate our feet out nice and wide. So if you are in broken bridge, you can keep your feet out really wide and then just knock your knees side to side a couple times. Just noticing how your hips are feeling. And then after you've done that a couple times, feet about hips width apart, pull your right knee in towards your chest and straighten your right leg up towards the sky. No need to really hold on to anything, just a light, a grip behind your thigh. Roll out your ankle a couple times as you start to wake up through your hamstring. Flex and point your toes. And then whether your right hand just wants to support your shin or you want to reach peace finger for your big toe, go ahead and let your right leg open out towards the right. And then press out through your heels so you feel like a nice stretch through your inner thigh and your hamstrings. And then from here, lift your right leg back up towards the sky and cross your right leg over your left. Kind of like we're coming into Gomukhasana. Start to hug your knees in towards your chest and then separate your feet out. So we come into this reclined Gomukhasana. You can hold on to the tops of your feet or your shins. And then I draw some really small circles up in the sky with my knees. Just like small, subtle movements as I start to loosen up into my body. And a couple circles in the opposite direction. I'll be using a little bit of core work here to take the circles. And then you'll release out whatever grip you have and just bring your hands onto your right knee and you'll keep your legs crossed for a moment. Almost like you're trying to hug your knee over towards your left shoulder. And then just rock forward and back a few times. Again, it's a really small movement. Your right knee is drawing towards your left shoulder. And again, maybe you draw those little circles as it starts to loosen up through your hip. This motion of drawing one knee towards the opposite shoulder, I feel like I just discovered this days ago, and it's working into a part of my hip that I don't know if it's ever been stretched out before. So wherever you are with this, give it one more gentle tug in. And then start to release, unravel your legs, tap your feet down on the ground, and then windshield wiper them side to side a couple more times. You'll let your knees fall over towards the right with your right knee in line with your hip. You might stack your left ankle over. Take one deep breath in. And then one deep breath out. Lift your knees back in towards your chest for a moment. Give yourself a little hug. And set your right foot down, left leg to the sky. And again, roll out your ankle, point and flex your toes a couple times. Just feel into the back of your left leg. Either peace fingers around your big toe or just hands supporting your shin. Start to rotate your leg open towards the left. And let yourself slowly lift back up through center. And then you'll cross your left leg over your right as you start to draw your knees in. Feet can separate a bit. And again, find that cow face shape on your back. Tiny little circles in one direction. And tiny little circles in the opposite direction. After you've done that a few times, you'll release the grip and just hold on to your left knee now, and almost like you're trying to draw your left knee towards your right shoulder. I do feel like I discovered the tightest spot in my body is this motion, specifically my left knee towards my right shoulder. The movement's so tiny. Again, you could rock side to side a little bit. And then take one more breath in. And you can start to release, unravel your legs, step them out nice and wide. A windshield wipering or two, just side to side again. And so you can eventually end up with your knees dropped over to the right, left knee in line with your hip, and then maybe right ankle crosses over. Take a slow breath in. Just stay for a breath out. Unravel your legs. And as you lift your knees back up towards the sky, release your arms down by your side. Let's just take a bridge pose. Lift your hips up towards the sky. And then with an exhale, just release back down. And then twice more. Just find a little opening through the front line. Inhale to lift. Exhale, release. One more time, breathe in, hips up. Exhale, lower it down. Go ahead and roll your way over onto your stomach. And it's all good if you're backwards on your mat. That doesn't really matter. Tap your forearms down and find a sphinx. Give yourself a chance just to sit up nice and tall. Pull your heart forward. Neck rolls if that feels good while you're in this position, or just be really still. And give yourself one more breath in with the lift. Start to tap your forehead down to the ground and slide your hands back. Find a cobra to any amount. We're going to do this 3 times. Exhale, release down to the ground. Again, cobra, you peel up. Exhale, release back to the floor. One more time, any amount of a cobra, breathe in. Release to the mat as you breathe out. And then press up to tabletop. From tabletop, child's pose, open up your knees nice and wide and give yourself a chance to sit back. Relax your forehead down. Small handful of breaths. Just let yourself be here. Really tune into the rhythm of your breath. The next time you start to inhale, start to press out towards your tabletop, and then take it into a cat pose, round and curl your spine as you bring your knees hips width. Inhale, dip your belly, open your chest. And exhale, round and curl, hug your belly button in. One more time, breathe in, lift your chest up. Exhale, round and curl. Come back through to a neutral tabletop. Tuck your toes under, sit back towards your heels for a moment, stretch into the soles of your feet. Feel free to grab a hold of your blocks now. Take the blocks on the highest level. Sit back to your heels just for a moment again. And then from here, step your blocks forward, like you're coming back towards an elevated tabletop, and then step your right foot forward. Once you step your right foot forward, you can crawl your toes forward as much as you'd like. Pull your heart forward and lift your chest a bit as you dip your hips towards the ground. And then start to straighten out your right leg, lift your toes up. Do that one more time. Bend your knee, press forward. Exhale, stretch it out. Bend back into your knee. Keeping your right hand on the block, just scoot your right hand a little bit closer towards your hip and then reach your left arm up. And then side bend, reach your left fingertips overhead. So take another breath in. Stay and reach for your breath out. Left hand comes to the block, straighten out your right leg. Twist open, right arm to the sky. And then breathe a lot of length, but really flex your toes up and back. Give it one more breath in. And then low lunge, as you bend your right knee, both hands inside of your foot, go ahead and tuck your back toes under. Walk over towards the left side. You might bring one block with you. And as soon as you get into this Prasarita shape, slide that block way, way forward. I'm going to take it on the lowest height. And then with your hands on it, start to melt your chest down. So it's kind of like this down dog, but puppy pose, but the weight's more back in your heels and your feet. Press your heart towards your thighs. Take one more breath in. One more breath out. And then start to slide your hand on the block back. Pivot your toes out. Bend into your knees a little bit and then rise to standing with your hands to your inner thighs. Give yourself a moment to rock side to side. And then dip your right shoulder down, press your right thigh open. Come back through center and then press your left thigh open, left shoulder dips. Come back through center for a moment, sit nice and low, and then rise all the way up. Star pose, stretch up towards the sky. Take a hold of your left wrist and lean over to the right. Inhale, lift back through center. Switch sides, right wrist, take it over to the left. Come back up with an inhale. Then forward fold, keeping your legs nice and wide. Reach for the blocks wherever they are. And you'll start to come into a low lunge around your left foot. So now you're pivoting forward on your mat again. Tap your right knee down to the ground. Feel free to crawl your left toes forward as much as you'd like. And then hips press forward. Lift up through your chest a bit. Pause for a breath in. Half split, straighten out your left leg, toes up. Back and forth. Bend your knee, hips forward, chest forward. Stretch it out as you breathe out. Last one. Inhale, bend and shift. Exhale, stretch it out. And then this time, as you start to bend, slide your left arm or your left hand with that block on the highest height, a little bit closer to your hip. Reach your right arm to the sky and then side bend over to the left. Take one more breath in. And then right hand to the block, half split, twist open, left arm up. Toes active towards the sky. And give yourself one more breath and feel the rotation. Come back to your low lunge, hands inside of your left foot. Tuck your right toes under. Again, you can travel with the blocks. Walk your way back towards center. And then this time you'll just fold yourself down in half and then maybe bend deep into one knee, deep into the other. Just loosen up your legs. Hands can release down wherever you'd like. If you want the shoulder stretch, hands interlace behind your back. If you're good without it, hands can just stay to the ground or your blocks. Shake your head out yes or no once or twice. And then take one more breath in. If your arms are bound, release them either to the ground or your blocks, and you're going to tap your knees down to the ground. We'll take floor frog, separate out your knees nice and wide. Feet in line with your knees and toes out. If you choose to use the blocks, I'm going to say bring them to the lowest height, walk them forward a little bit so you can tap your forearms down onto them and then press your hips back. You can also forego the blocks, be down on the ground. And again, that little press back with your hips. We're going to stay here for about 10 breaths just to let our bodies kind of sink into this one. Take your time rising back up. And then from here, you'll scoot your knees in a little bit, just so you have enough like support to stand up on your hands. And then you're going to start to walk yourself towards the back of the mat again. But at the same time, you're pivoting your right shin towards the back of the mat so you can find pigeon. And then step your left foot back a little bit. Step your left knee back. Give yourself a moment just to kind of settle into the pigeon-esque shape. You can always take this on your back if you prefer today. Walk your hands back. And something else that I do like is using the blocks to get into the hip flexors here. So the blocks on any level, if you have them around like your hips or your thigh and your foot, you can press into the blocks and keep yourself lifted. It'll work a nice stretch down the back leg. You might hold it here if this is feeling like it's a really tight spot and you need to stay as you are. But as you feel ready, you can fold yourself into down to your forearms or relax all the way down to your forehead. Know that you can always add on a quad stretch to this by picking up your left foot and maybe reaching left hand for your left foot. Another couple breaths. Maybe another breath or so, whatever it is that you're doing. And then start to lift back up. Draw the weight into your right hip so you can come to seated towards the side of the mat. Take both legs out nice and wide. Sit up really tall at your right hand, relax for a moment, and then side bend over towards the left. Or I guess you're side bending over to the right using your left arm to stretch. Whatever you ended up doing, we're going to switch sides, rise back up, and then all the way to the other side. And one time side to side, rise up, side bend towards your right leg. And rise back up and side bend over towards your left. Come back up towards center for a moment. Reach up towards the sky. Let yourself fold down at center. And then one full round of breath wherever you end up with this. Rise back up. We're going to find pigeon on the left leg towards the front of your mat again. So give yourself a few moments to set up this pigeon. Feel free to grab a hold of your blocks if you want to take that little supported hip flexor stretch with me. So once you start to get your legs where you want them to be in pigeon, you can walk back. Give yourself a few moments to sit up nice and tall. The weight is squared. Flex your left toes a little bit. And again, you can stay as you are or start to fold yourself down. Maybe you give yourself a moment to get just a tiny bit passive, or maybe really passive. But if you want to add on the quad stretch, now your right hand can reach for your right foot. We're here for a little bit. Another 2 breaths wherever you are. And then you'll start to rise back up to your palms. Feel free to use the blocks underneath your hands if you'd like. We're just going to step back to a tabletop. Once we step back to tabletop, take a cow pose, let your belly dip, open your chest. Cat pose, round and curl, hug your belly button in. Come back through cow, tuck your toes under, sit back towards your heels. Again, give yourself a nice stretch through the soles of your feet, maybe wiggle out side to side. Walk your hands back towards your knees and lift up to a forward fold at the back of the mat. Relax your head and neck as you sway side to side for a moment. Begin to roll your way up to standing. As you unravel, stretch your arms all the way up towards the sky. Breathe in. Cactus your arms, open wide through your chest. Breathe out. Inhale, arms reach back up. Exhale, forward fold all the way back down. Once your hands tap down towards the ground, crawl your way forward. Find a tabletop, hands and knees, and then make your way all the way down onto your stomach. Fingertips walk wide, and then find a wide cobra. Breathe in. Dip your left shoulder down, look to your right, breathe out. Inhale back through center. Exhale, right shoulder dips. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, release down to the ground. Go ahead and roll over onto your back. Have a block within arm's reach. Feet flat on the ground. Let's find a supported bridge. Roll your hips up, take the block and slide it underneath you on any level. Give yourself a moment to relax down into it. And then from there, if you want to walk your feet forward, you can. If you want to stretch your arms up overhead, you can. And take your time, 3 more breaths here. Start to walk your feet back down on the ground and stretch your legs up towards the sky. You can adjust the height of the block if you'd like. You can also adjust your arms anywhere. And again, you can be really still, or you can find any sort of movements that feel nice in your legs. And give it one more breath in. Start to release your feet back down to the earth. Take your hips up off the block. And as you lower down, draw your knees into your chest. Rock side to side for a moment. And then holding onto your right shin, let your left leg release down and then take it into a twist. Guide your knee across. Then feel free to play with straightening out your leg in this twist, feeling into the outer hip for a moment. And it can stay straight. And if you're holding onto your foot in some way with your left hand, it might exaggerate that stretch a bit. You can also keep it bent. So either way, right shoulder relaxes. From here, take a nice full breath in. A big open mouth exhale, let it release. Unravel yourself, and as you come back towards center, hug your knees into your chest for a moment. Pull your left shin in as your right leg releases, and then you can bump your hips to the left a little bit as you find your twist over to the right. Option is there again to straighten out your left leg. Left shoulder relaxes down. Take one more round of breath. And then start to unravel yourself. Roll onto your back, knees into your chest. And as a final movement, take anything else that your heart desires. Maybe just a couple rocks side to side, if happy baby sounds good. If nothing sounds good, you don't need anything else. Our next step is to head to Shavasana. So you can make your way there as you feel ready. Any shape with Shavasana, you have the comforts of home, so feel free to utilize any sort of props that make you feel extra cozy and that allow your body to relax a little bit more. Take a moment to relax every inch of yourself. Encourage a nice slow and deep breath in. Hold for a moment once you get really full. And then open your mouth and let everything release. A few moments with the permission to do nothing at all, think about nothing at all. Just be as you are. Enjoy it, follow your breath in and out. I'll bring us back in a few moments. A deep breath slowly and gently brings you back into your space, into your day. Small movements in your body as you just start to wake up every corner. Maybe a full body stretch feels nice. And eventually just take a slow breath in, fill your whole body up. Open your mouth, let everything empty. Give yourself a chance to maybe stay on your back or rise up to a seat, whatever works best. Palms in front of your heart, a moment of gratitude. Always to yourself, always to each other. Send some of that love and compassion to all the beings spread out across the world and the universe, and in particular, in gratitude to this practice. We bow from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.